So it's Friday night, you're President Trump, Friday evening, and you're the Trump legal team, and you get a letter from Judge Merchan, which you haven't received in a while yet. You know that you've got sentencing on July 11th, and that's likely when you'll file your motions to appeal and your motions to place a stay on any kind of sentencing. But this letter is kind of take you off guard at first because it's dated June 7th. And it was via email to both President Trump's attorney and the assistant district attorney, so someone who would work with Alvin Bragg. And it said, "Dear counsel, today the court became aware of a comment that was posted on the Unified Court System's public Facebook page, in which I now bring to your attention. In the comment, the user, Michael Anderson, states, 'My cousin is a juror,' and says Trump is getting convicted. Thank you, folks, for all your hard work." Now, here's what's interesting about the comment. That was 2 days into the jury deliberation, 1 day before they announced their verdict, that you have that comment. You also, the comment was under a part of the 4th Department of the Appellate Division's Facebook page. So it was not on the trial court's Facebook page, and it was under a post that was unrelated to the Trump proceeding at all. It had nothing to do with that. And this is all coming from the official letter. I put it up on the screen again. From the judge. This isn't like the Trump team. I want to make that clear. Someone, internet sleuths didn't find this. Fox News did not find this. Newsmax didn't find it. The Trump legal team didn't find it. It was the courts, and it was the appellate court division that found it and made notice to the trial court judge. Here's what's important. There needs to be, and there should be, as we speak, an investigation ongoing. And it could be done pretty quickly. First, you go to your jurors. So you're the court. Okay, you can conduct this on your own without really exposing any jurors to anything because you have all of their information. Don't have to make anything public. And in the interest of justice and also anything you're going to sentence, you do want to put this to bed. If it is some internet scam, as some are trying to say, and the post has now been interestingly deleted, maybe because this person realizes may have gotten, getting too far down the road. But, you've got your 12 jurors. You pull them, you call them one by one or pull them all together again and say, okay, one, do any of you know a Michael Anderson? Okay, because that doesn't have to be the person's real name. Okay, so make sure you note that. Remember, this is an internet posting, so you don't have to use a real name. But that would be an easy one if somebody raises their hand. Is that your cousin? Okay. Did you talk to that cousin? You're under oath. You got to put them under oath when you do this. Did you talk to that cousin before, during jury deliberations and give them any indications about how the jury was going to decide on this case? So if there is a juror in there that answers yes to those questions, okay, this is grounds for a mistrial.
The other corollary question is whether or not the jurors had any conversations with individuals who were not part of the jury pool. Right. And based on this particular post, one could certainly infer that communications did in fact occur. And so I think the court has the power to compel the jurors to testify, and they need to get to the bottom of it, and they need to do so very, very quickly. And so we need to adjudicate first when the post was made, whether the poster is indeed a cousin or relative or outsider, with respect to any of the jurors, because keep in mind, in theory at least, the names of the 12 jurors and the alternates were kept private throughout the Trump trial. And so I think the calls made by many Republicans for a mistrial are indeed appropriate in the sense that they are bringing appropriate pressure to bear on the court to act and act expeditiously, in part because the sentencing for Donald Trump is to take place within about a month.
The first thing you do is say, it's not even about Michael Anderson. This is a public story now. It's putting you under oath. It's saying, did you have conversations with people that shouldn't have been privy to those conversations, that we told you not to do, that could have also told someone like this. I mean, think about that. If you were speaking to someone in your family, and then that person decided, let's play phone tag, I'm going to call someone else and say, I've got some cool information from you that my cousin, friend, coworker, a husband, wife on the jury said that we're going to get a guilty verdict pretty soon in this case, and Donald Trump's going down.
Well, and I think that's been the problem.
About the Facebook post,
right?
There's grounds for a mistrial there.
Once again, this is not a letter that the judge wanted to send, right? And we got it Friday evening, so perfect timing to hopefully get lost in the shuffle of the news cycle going into a weekend. People aren't paying as much attention, but I think it also highlights what has been the problem many commentators and legal analysts have seen with this entire case is that it was based on an underlying crime we didn't know. There was a novel legal theory presented to get these to be highlighted and raised to felonies against the former president. And then even some of the oddities of allowing, we're going to have a short day here so this juror can go to a dental appointment. The jury wasn't sequestered in this very, very high profile case. So the judge, while I don't believe he wanted to send this, also allowed for this in some way to happen by not sequestering the jury, by not having heightened protections against something like this when you know that this is a high-profile case. It's what people that have been critical of it have been saying from the beginning. How is he going to get a fair trial?
I think that, listen, when you go on appeal and you start looking at, getting Friday night letters after the juries come back with their verdict, about a post made while they were deliberating, and that's coming from the judge with information that came from the appellate division, you, of course, are going to include that somehow in your appeal. But before you get there, and I think you want to, I don't exactly know what you'd file, but I think you want to file something with the court that makes sure that the court is doing its due diligence. Really, the Trump campaign cannot put those jurors under oath again. They can't contact them. It's only the court. Alvin Bragg can't even do that in his team. So it's really the court now has this duty. And it's also important for the court. I mean, Harry, this is why it's important for the court to do it so that all of this, if it can be put to rest, is put to rest, because you go to, again, just are these just pre-cooked sentences against Donald Trump, and people have said that this is all cooked, that this is all again set up because we're doing them in Manhattan. We're putting two lawyers on the jury pool, and they come back in 2 days that we don't even know what the actual felony is, but we do know they're going to get convicted, as the person wrote on Facebook, and they're the ones that could put them under oath and say what happened here.
Absolutely. So whatever the outcome of this particular case, first, this post suggests the impossibility that Donald Trump could, in fact, get a fair trial in New York. That's number one. Number two, the judge failed to take appropriate safeguards, as Will indicates, with respect to protecting the jurors from outside influence. So the jurors were not sequestered. Their cell phones, as I understand it, were not taken away. Their ability to communicate over the internet was not taken away. And then thirdly, the judge likely committed reversible error with respect to the jury instructions. Why? Because the judge failed to require that the jurors reach a unanimous verdict with respect to the underlying crime. And indeed, the underlying crime was not even specified in this particular case. So I think a lot of Americans believe that this particular trial was indeed unjust. And so it strengthens the argument at the end of the day for a mistrial.